Blessed day, guys, and peace be upon you this morning. So in this video, we're going to learn how to configure port security using Cisco Packet Tracer. Okay, so before we go further, I'll open our Google spreadsheet and let you know that today we are in number 16, right? All right. Okay, so before we go into the configuration part, it's very, very important that we learn or we understand what port security means. Okay, so I'll open PPT and read a few things about port security. So we see that by default, all interfaces in a Cisco switch are turned on. So that means an attacker can just come, or a hacker can come. The hacker can come and plug their PC to any port on the walls, because the ports on the wall connect to the switch. Okay, and they can compromise the network. So to prevent this, we can implement port security to curb or to deter those unauthorized users from accessing this port. Okay, all right. So we learned that there are two ways through this one can happen. We can limit the number of MAC addresses that are MAC addresses in a single port, or another way, we see that if unauthorized access is observed, the traffic should be discarded. Okay, right? The traffic will be blocked. It will not be sent to the destination, right? Okay, so we see that switches learn MAC addresses when the frame is forwarded through a switch port. Okay, so then by using a port security, a user can limit the number of MAC addresses that can be learned to a port through the following ways. So we can limit the number of MAC addresses that can be learned through a port through these ways. We can manually limit it, or we automatically limit it. When we do that, when we manually limit it, it's called setting a static MAC addresses. But when we do it dynamically or a kind of automatic way, we use a command that's called sticky. Okay, so this is a sample way to configure port security. It's very, very simple. Just enter an interface, you make it an access port, then you enable switch port security on that port. Then you specify the maximum number of devices that you want to access that specific port. Okay, then this is where you give the MAC address of that device that you want it to access that port. Okay, then you give the violation mode. Very, very simple. Okay, we say that you can give the MAC address either dynamically or manually. Okay, all right. So I will go back to our packet tracer so that we can start a configuration part. Okay, all right. So I'll open our notepad as our culture. We read the guiding steps on the notepad. So the first step is always to draw the necessary topology, decorate and comment. Second step is to configure IP address to all the PCs. I've done all of that. You can see all of these computers are having specific IP addresses. You can see 1.5, etc, etc. Okay, so I'll open this again. So step 3, identify ports to configure port security, the maximum number of devices per port, violation mode, and method of obtaining MAC address. So I've already done that. I've already given that comment also. So for these two devices, we want to have a port security with the violation mode of shutdown, MAC address to be obtained through sticky command, which means it's a dynamic or automatic method of obtaining MAC address. Okay, and we want each port to have only one device. Okay, all right. So when you go to the second category here, the port security will apply with the violation mode of restrict. Okay, then MAC address still remains sticky, but the maximum number of devices per port we want them to be 2. So for example, this port here should only be able to obtain access or allow only 2 devices to connect to it. Okay, and finally on this the last category here, the port security will have a violation mode of protect. Then the MAC address will be obtained through manual. Okay, static. Then maximum number of devices per port will be 1. Okay, all right. So let's go to number 4. Okay, so configure first batch with port security violation mode of shutdown, one device per port, and method of obtaining MAC address to be sticky. Very, very simple, guys. So the first thing that you have to do, you have to identify these interfaces. So this is FA01 and this is FA02. So you just go to that switch, come to CLI, and you say enable config T and interface range, because there are two and you want to configure the same parameter to 2, FA0/2/1 to 2, and you hit enter. We just say switch port mode. The first thing you have to make these ports to be access ports. Switch port mode access. Okay, then enable switch port security on this interface. So just say switch port port security, and you hit enter. Okay, and we've been told that this patch should only allow one device per port, so you just say switch port port security maximum to be only one device per port. Okay, so FA01 will take only one device, FA02 will take only one device. Okay, and you hit enter. Okay, after that, the method of obtaining a MAC address should be sticky command. So just say switch port security MAC address. Okay, very, very simple. Switch port security MAC address to be sticky. Okay, and hit enter. Then finally, the violation mode. Don't forget the violation mode. You just say switch port security port security to be we just say violation to be shut down. If I try to query the violation that are available here, you will see we have protect, restrict, and shutdown, but now we want to use shutdown, and you hit enter. Guys, very, very simple, very, very simple. Let's exit. Right, so let's go. Number 5, configure second batch with the port security violation mode of restrict, 2 devices per port, and a method of obtaining MAC address to be sticky still. So the second batch here is this port, which is FA0/3, FA0/4. Very simple. So just go here and say interface range FA0/3 to 4. Oops. Range. Switch port mode access. Then switch port security. Then switch port security maximum number of devices to be 2 now, because here 2 devices per port. So each port will have 2 devices to connect to it. Okay, maximum to be only 2. Okay, maximum number of devices to be 2. Then switch port security. Then we say switch port security MAC address to be obtained through sticky command still. Okay, and you hit enter. Then finally switch port try to retrieve it up. Okay, switch port security violation to be restrict, and you hit enter. We exit. Very simple. And when we go to the sixth step, configure third batch with port security violation mode of protect, 1 device per port, and method of obtaining MAC address to be manual. Okay, all right. So this is the third batch. It's only 1 device, so I didn't want to include a lot of devices here because it's a manual way. Manual way is normally consume a lot of time. So it's FA0/5 interface FA0/5. Okay, then make the switch to be access, make the port to be access port. Okay, then switch port security, you enable it first. Then you say switch port security maximum number of devices to be 1. Okay, then switch port security, we say method of obtaining MAC address to be, you see there are 2 methods, sticky or the manual way. You either use sticky or the manual way. So we are going to use the manual way. You just go to this PC here and you take the MAC address from there. How do you take the MAC address? Just come to config, and where do we get the MAC address? Come to FA0 first Ethernet 0, okay, and here is the MAC address. Okay, I copy it. Then when I come to this switch, I just paste it there. See, and I hit enter. Exit. Oh, sorry, we've not given the violation mode. Just say Switchport port security violation to be protect. Hit enter. Exit. And if I can just say do show start first. Oh, do right. Then do show start. So you can see FA1 and FA2 port security, then MAC address sticky, maximum number of devices is 1 by default. So FA3 and FA4 you can see maximum number of devices are 2, and violation mode is restrict here. Method of obtaining is sticky. So here didn't show the violation mode because the violation mode of shutdown is by default, so it doesn't need to show it there because it's always by default. Then finally we had this, which was the manual configuration of MAC addresses. You can see this is a MAC address of this computer. Okay, all right. So another command that we can use here is just to end show port security. So show port security interfaces. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Interface arrow. Sorry. Let's just say do show port security that. Okay. You will see that FA1 and FA2 they have shutdown. Okay, as violation mode. Okay, and you can see the maximum number of devices that can access this port is 1. Okay, but FA3 and FA4 the maximum number of devices that can access that port are 2, and the violation mode is restrict. Then finally FA5 protect and 1 device. Okay, all right. So we want to test the first thing that let's go to step 7. First, test ping and bring ACA PC and plug it to any port configured to access only 1 device. The ports that are configured to access only 1 device are this port, this port, and this port. You can remember these 2 ports were configured to access 2 devices, so it will not bring a good results when we test, because the ACA PC will act as the second device. Okay, all right. So we will test with the ones that are accessing only one device. So we need to ping first. Okay, so that this switch here can learn the MAC addresses of all of these computers. We need to ping first. Okay, all right. Because you can just say show MAC address table. You can see we only have one device. Okay, all right. So we need to have all of these devices. So I'll just go to this PC here and try to ping 1 and 2. Good, that's all. So I've pinged all of this PC and they have replied. So this basically has known that as identified that there are other devices that have tried to reach each other. Okay, so if I can just say show MAC address again, you can see all of the devices are now here. Okay, all right. So remember, this port was configured to access only one device, which is this one. Okay, so I'll try to modify. Let's say I'll go here and copy this IP address. Okay, I'll copy this IP address and I plug out that port here from that PC. Remember, it's still remaining a phase 05 on that side. Then I plug it in here. I will wait until this one turns green, then try to ping. Okay, so did I really configure IP address to this switch here? A computer. Or let me just do that IP address. Okay, good. So I want to try to ping any of these PCs here. Okay, so I'll try to ping even this computer. Okay, So ping .4 now, it will never ping. Why? Because it's blocked by default. Any other device apart from this one is blocked by default. Okay. Alright, so thank you so much, guys. I'll go back to our Google spreadsheet and mark port security as done. So we will finally do ACL for VTY, then we move to routing technologies. Right. So thank you so much, and I believe this video has really helped you now to configure port security. Suppose you like this video, please like my video, share with friend, provide a comment below, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and let's see you again in the next class. Bye.